challenges, in our opinion, seem to have overwhelmed our security institutions.
The governors are supposed to be the state security officers of their state.
There is need for us to at least engage the traditional rulers.
We need to do something about our porous borders.
We have to own it from the unit level to the ward level to the local government to state.
Mr. President, the importance of today for us is for us to take action.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Let us allow this process to conclude, because that is the only way we strengthen and deepen the democratic process.
Senate calls for caution in the wake of the just concluded presidential and National Assembly elections.
According to the results, to adopt the resolutions of the House of Representatives, urge the federal government of Nigeria to acquire a liability on behalf of the Nigerian Air Force.
And Senate concurs with the House of Representatives resolution on the acquisition of the liability of NAF Blue Boulevard Agreement. This is Inside the Senate, and I am Hussaina Amina Aboki, your anchor. The Senate resumed on Tuesday, the 28th of February 2023 from the break it took for the presidential and National Assembly elections. After plenary for last week, the Senate again adjourned for the gubernatorial and state houses of assembly elections and is billed to resume on Tuesday, the 14th of March 2023. Before the adjournment, however, the Senate treated several matters of which we have the reports in this episode of the program. Join me after the short break for the full package.
The Senate to send a message to the President
To reap opportunities from that.
To raise a matter of urgent public importance. And we are aware that when this particular motion comes up for a longer term development, arise to second the motion.
Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Thanks for being with us. The Senate, on resumption from its elections break on Tuesday, the 28th of February 2023, called for caution and adherence to peaceful processes by Nigerians during elections and result collation exercises. In a motion under matters of urgent public importance, Senator Yahaya Olori-Egbe had before the declaration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as winner of the presidential election held on Saturday, the 25th of February 2023, made the call in reaction to events that unfolded at the Collation Center in Abuja, which allegedly threatened the collation process.
This Senate is concerned with the various comments and actions by individuals on the ongoing process of collation and announcement of presidential election. The Senate is worried of the potential effect of such comments and action to the peace, welfare, and progress of this country.
The motion generated divergent opinions from the lawmakers.
The crux of the matter now, and all the arguments are being based on electronic transmission of results. And I watch with dismay how the clauses in the Electoral Act were interpreted in different ways by different people. There is nowhere in the Electoral Act 2022 where INEC is compelled to transmit results electronically. None at all. Section 60, subsection 5 calls for transfer of results by the polling agent from transfer of results and accreditation data in a manner as prescribed by INEC. The compulsion on INEC is for them to supply anybody, a party, an interested party, with an electronic copy of that result if he asks for it and pays a fee.
The elections have come, and in fact they have gone. And you know, whatever happens at the collation centers and the social media, we should not, the Senate should not involve itself. Not to talk about asking members, senators, to interpret the law. Our job has been done and finished with. We passed the Electoral Act. You said it yourself. And for goodness sake, if we don't step down this thing, there will be endless controversy on party lines. And God knows what it will generate in the public domain.
As a result of the last election that just happened on 25th February, we are not here to make incendiary remarks here that will cause any division. We are here to appeal to our people to follow the law. And we're asking all the agencies of government that are also involved in this electioneering to also ensure that they follow strictly sensu or what the law stipulates, both the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, both the Electoral Act of 2022 amended, and the law.
Everybody who is in this hallowed chamber must and should see him or herself as a statesman or stateswoman. The point to be made here, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is simple. As the highest legislative chamber, our voice must be a voice that just asks the institutions involved in this democratic process to stick to the rule of law, simple and period, and to ask Nigerians to please allow those who are saddled with this responsibility to carry out their duty without any form of harassment or intimidation. And within that context, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, let us allow this process to conclude, because that is the only way we will strengthen and deepen the democratic process.
Mr. President, either way this conversation goes, there must be controversy. The only way out of this, Mr. President, is for INEC to strictly stick to the Constitution of Nigeria, stick to the Electoral Act. There's no other way out of it. And stick to their guidelines. There is no way you will be told that results will be transmitted from the polling unit. At the end of the day, results are not being transmitted from that polling unit. Let INEC stick to their Electoral Act and their guideline. That is the only solution.
Three things. One, that the INEC will do the right thing. Not as interpreted by us, lawmakers, but the right thing based on the provisions of the electoral bill we passed, which was assented to, and today is the law guiding the electoral process. And that's our position here. Secondly, that Nigerians would be patient for INEC to complete the process. The third thing that my own contribution is also affording me an opportunity to raise is that we also call on the judiciary, which will be the arbiter at the end of this whole process, not to allow itself to be dragged at this point into the arena of the political battle, so that it will not have its own eyes, closed with the doors of the arena.
There is no doubt that as the upper chamber, we need to also have a voice in whatever is happening within the country. However, this process is still an ongoing process. It is on, it has not ended. And there is no serious crisis other than to ask the INEC to follow its own guidelines and the Electoral Act. Simple. There is no reason for us to play to the gallery or to pretend that we are holier than others.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, legislature anywhere in the world is an instrument of nation building. So we are a stakeholder on what is happening to Nigerian project. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to my mind, I think we should just have limited ourselves to advising INEC to stick to its rules and the Electoral Act.
Well, thank you very much for the various interventions. And I understand the sensibilities and sentiments of everyone. Those who said we don't need to talk about this thing now, this is the way they feel about it. But the majority that say we should discuss it because it's important, we tell the authorities, in this particular case, INEC, to do exactly what the law, the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and their guidelines and regulations provide for.
With this, the Senate resolves to urge Nigerians to be calm, law-abiding, and to allow INEC perform its functions according to the electoral law. The Senate, on Wednesday, the 1st of March 2023, also received the report of the Committee on Electoral Matters on the confirmation of a presidential nominee, Dr. Muhammad Isa, for the position of Resident Electoral Commissioner, REC.
The committee found that the nominee is suitable for the appointment as REC, having made the following findings during the course of the screening exercise: that no petition or incriminating reports appear to have the temerity to continue holding the office of REC. The nominee is not affiliated to any political party. He had never participated in any political rally or campaign. The nominee was a person of proven integrity. Having studied the nominee's curriculum vitae and other relevant documents, in addition to the exhaustive interaction and deliberation, the committee members were unanimously satisfied with the nominee, considering his wealth of experience, exposure, performance, qualification, etc., for the appointment as Resident Electoral Commissioner.
Mr. President, permit me to commend the committee for conducting a thorough exercise in order to confirm this nominee. And the report has clearly shown that there's no wrongdoing, no adverse finding that has been found against this nominee. The nominee maintains a very clean record and an outstanding pedigree. For this reason, I urge my colleagues to, without any delay, give the nod for the nominee to be confirmed.
Mr. President, let me align myself with the previous speaker to commend the committee and to say that the nominee comes from Wara in Gaski local government, and we share some contiguous boundary. So I've come across in one or two occasions, and so I know him to some extent. I can confirm, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that he surely has that integrity the committee has so affirmed in their report. And to say that he's a returning REC, and in the course of the previous service, he has actually even won an award based on his performance in the 2019 general election.
With this, the Senate dissolved into the Committee of the Whole, where the report was perused clause by clause and leading to the confirmation of the nominee.
Those in favor will say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Let's take a break for our notebook segment. Stand by for our topic of the week.
Unless otherwise directed by the Senate Standing Rules provides for the sequence of its daily proceedings in the following order. 1. Formal entry of the Senate President into the chamber. 2. Prayers. 3. Approval of votes and proceedings. 4. Oath or affirmation of allegiance on new senators or senators-elect, if any. 5. Message from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, if any. 6. Other announcements by the President of the Senate. 7. Petitions. 8. Matters of urgent public importance. 9. Personal explanation. And 10. Order of the day.
Welcome back. The Senate, on Wednesday, the 1st of March 2023, was presented with a request by the House of Representatives to concur with the resolutions it adopted on a motion it treated, having to do with a petition in which a Port Harcourt-based civil engineering and construction company, Blue Boulevard Nigeria Limited, accused the Nigerian Air Force of breach of an agreement between them. Let's take a report on this alongside others as compiled and presented from our studio.
Mr. President,
according to the
request,
the agreement provides for the construction of a shopping mall by Blue Boulevard on behalf of the Nigerian Air Force, but due to its collapse, Boulevard is now faced with the threat of losing an investment worth over 33.4 million naira alongside a debt of 35.4 billion naira. The House, after considering a motion on the matter titled Use of Excessive Force and Abuse of Due Process by Nigerian Air Force by Blue Boulevard Limited, and carrying out its own investigation, it adopted 3 resolutions which it requested the Senate to concur with. The motion was presented by the Senate leader, Senator Ibrahim Gobir.
Aware that the House of Representatives has transmitted the resolution on the subject matter to the Senate for concurrence. Accordingly, resolves to adopt the resolutions of the House of Representatives.
The resolutions of the motions which were already adopted by the House of Representatives and for which Senate's concurrence was sought include: urge the federal government of Nigeria to acquire the liability of Blue Boulevard on behalf of the Nigerian Air Force and its establishment, Nigerian Air Force Property Limited, by paying off the total investment made by Blue Boulevard Nigerian Limited for work done in the construction of a shopping mall located at NAF Base in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, in the sum of 33.4 million naira as a result of the collapse of the agreement between the parties, which ought to end in 2032. Urge Blue Boulevard Nigerian Limited to approach the courts to vacate all pending injunctions, including the Federal High Court judgment in suit number FHC/PH/FHR/71/201, restraining the defendant from gaining access and taking possession of the shopping mall upon the receipt of the 33.4 million naira, and urge the federal government to transmit a promissory note to the National Assembly for approval, the sum of 35.4 billion naira to be accommodated in the 2023 supplementary budget. No comments were taken, as a result of which the resolutions were considered in the Committee of the Whole and eventually concurred with.
Welcome back. The Chairman, Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure, presented their report on the screening of presidential nominees as members of the Board of the Code of Conduct Bureau. The report, alongside others, are compiled and presented from our studio.
According to the committee chairman, Senator Ayo Akinye-Lure, the nominees include Murtala Aliyu Kankia, Katsina State, Northwest; Zafanaya Ishaku Bulus, Nasarawa State, North Central; Farouk Umar, Yobe State, Northeast; Abdul Salam Taufik Olawale, Ondo State, Southwest; Professor Juwairia Badamasiu, Kogi State, North Central. Having screened the nominees, the report of the findings of the committee was considered clause by clause in the Committee of the Whole, after which the nominees was eventually confirmed.
Musculoskeletal system.
Thursday, the 3rd of March 2023, saw the presentation for second reading, the Institute for Information and Communications Technology, Nsu Ihime Mbano Establishment Bill 2023, sponsored by Senator Frank Ibezim.
The establishment of this institution is informed by the importance of care for the patient health. The Federal Orthopedic Hospital in Hitoboma, when established, will offer comprehensive orthopedic care for joint replacements, fractures, joint pain, sports injuries, arthritis, and other injuries and conditions.
The bill was debated.
This bill, when passed to law, will help the health sector of this economy, because the areas where these centers are to be located now are areas in this country where citizens of Nigeria don't have access to medical facility. And therefore, this bill, as moved by the sponsor, that is Senator Ibim Frank Shukuma, should be warmly supported by this Senate to assist people in the local community to have access to medical facility.
After second reading, the bill was referred to the Committee on ICT and Cybercrimes to report back in 2 weeks. Several bills originating from the House of Representatives were presented to the Senate for concurrence. They include Federal Medical Center, Apugo, Nkanu West, Establishment Bill 2023, Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Obuofia, Akunanu, Enugu State Establishment Bill 2023, as well as Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology Act 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2023.
Those were reports of chamber proceedings for last week when the Senate resumed briefly from the presidential elections. Meanwhile, the Senate on Thursday, the 2nd of March 2023, announced another adjournment to enable senators participate in the gubernatorial and state houses of assembly elections coming up on Saturday, the 11th of March 2023, and is billed to resume on Tuesday, the 14th of March 2023. The announcement was made by the Senate President, Senator Ahmed Lawan.
We have to adjourn for all of us to participate in the campaigns and elections of the governors and state assembly members, of course except FCT. For the Nigerian citizens, we should support INEC in whatever way we can so that it conducts the governorship and state assembly elections successfully, because that is what we all expect and that's what we need as a democracy. We will be out of this place for the next 2 weeks or so. And the idea is we'll come back and continue with our legislative functions. And I want to thank most sincerely every single senator for doing everything possible to make this Senate a success.
Our profile segment is next. Stay tuned for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Jarigbe Agom Jarigbe represents Cross River North Senatorial District on the platform of the PDP. He was born in Ogoja local government area of Cross River State on the 9th of December 1970. Senator Jarigbe attended the School of Basic Studies Port Harcourt in River State, where he obtained his West African School Certificate (WASC) in 1990. He also earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemistry from the University of Calabar, Cross River State in 2004. He was Managing Director of Larger Enterprises Limited. He joined politics and served as an executive committee member of the PDP in Cross River State. He also served as member of the Shopi Committee of the state. He contested election and won as honorable member of the House of Representatives, where he represented Ogoja Yala Federal Constituency and served 2 terms from 2015 to 2019, as well as from 2019 to when he contested to the Senate to fill the vacancy created by the demise of Senator Rose Oko on the 23rd of March 2020. He was denied victory in that election. As a result, he contested to the Supreme Court, which eventually ruled in his favor, and was sworn in on the 15th of September 2021 to represent Cross River North Senatorial District of Cross River State. Senator Jarigbe is a member of several committees of the Senate. His legislative interests include oil and gas development, financial accountability, education, as well as human resources development.
We come to the end of this episode of the program. If you missed any part of the program, do follow our YouTube channel for details. And with the gubernatorial elections just around the corner, I urge you to support the electoral process by participating in the elections. Until I come your way again, thanks for watching.